this computer. This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, although rocking a beautiful Toronto background behind me because, well, that's my desired home is Toronto. And me the greatest spot in Canada, or at least according to me. But nonetheless, we're not here to talk about that today because we are here to celebrate 25 years of a film I saw in the theater when it came out. And like The Big Lebowski the year before, it's a film that I caught early before the cult following had happened. So I got on board early with those films. And Office Space I saw in the theater and I loved it then and I still love it today.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
here we are, the Blu-ray here.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And folks, I've had Todd Duffy on here a couple times before, and now we got one of the office workers. One of the office workers who was very committed at her job. Folks, I give you the lovely redheaded secretary herself, Kinna McInroe. How do you do, Kinna?
Well, it's Kinna, but thank you. I'll just consider that your Canadian accent.
Is it Kenna? I'm
It's Kinna.
sorry. I
That's okay.
apologize.
That's so funny. I love the stories in a boot. I love the Canadian accent. It's awesome.
I don't get it, but you know what? Everybody says it, so I'm like, okay.
Well, that's me too. I'm from Texas and I don't really hear it unless I hear myself on a recording and then I'm like, wow, I'm a hick. But yeah, other people are like, where are you from? So
Wow. Yeah, I saw Office Space in the theater 25 years ago, and yeah,
wow.
I hadn't really seen much for advertising
I
of it.
was only 3 years old then. Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I know you're 39. I know.
Exactly. I was a
But
baby.
yeah, already doing secretary work. I'll tell you,
Exactly. I when I shot that, I remember I'd never worked in an office and I didn't know how to work a fax machine or any of that. I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is real acting here. So, but yeah, I guess I just always looked like I was 45 because I was actually 25 when I ended up shooting it. So I was just born looking 45, I guess.
I'm gonna tell you, you look a lot younger than that.
Oh, well, thanks.
Um, well, yeah, you don't look like you did then. In fact, I think you look better than you did then. So there you
Oh, well,
go.
thank you. Thank you. That's really sweet. I have put on the pandemic pounds though, that's for sure. And you're not seeing me today because I had rosacea so bad. My face has been on fire for like 3 days. So I apologize. Otherwise, I'd be camera ready for you.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm on camera because I have a little bit of office space memorabilia that I'm gonna
Oh,
show off on
cool.
here
Cool.
that I think you'll want to see. And but nonetheless, like I said, I got the Blu-ray here, and but I suppose for those well, this is not live, but still, those who get onto this, we got to hear your little bit of a phone conversation. What was that you always said in the office?
Well, it was corporate accounts payable. Nina speaking. Just a moment. That was the line. And when I did it with a Mike, I did it a certain way, and then he just had me do some wild lines off, doing ADR. And so if you really, really look at my lips, it's not matching. Because he chose one of the wild ones that I did in the sound booth. And so it didn't go exactly with my lips, but I thought they did a pretty good job. But if you watch it and you really look at it, you're like, "Oh, her lips are not moving with the sound."
And of course, what did you say to Milton at the birthday party?
Oh, Milton. Oh gosh. What did I say? Let's not be greedy. Let's pass it along and make sure everyone gets a piece. And but I got my stapler and blah, 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 blah. Just pass. Yeah.
He still didn't get any.
Yeah. So that was definitely fun. That was my very first film out of film school. So I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. Ah, yeah. No, it wasn't.
Well, you know what? What a great film to have your name attached to, and it's gained this I know it wasn't a major hit at the box office, but I mean it's like I said the year before, all the rage was Armageddon, which I bored me to sleep,
Uh, yeah.
you know. But I mean, The Big Lebowski, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Dark
Uh-huh.
City, they all came out that year, and look at the major cult followings that those films have.
Yeah, I just shot a film with Ethan Cohen and Trisha Cook in Albuquerque a month ago. So I finished that, and it's his new film and her new film, Honey Don't. So it's part of a three-part trilogy. So he did The Big Lebowski and so many things. He's one of my. It was a huge, one of the biggest thrills of my life to book that because I'm a huge Fargo. I mean, every single movie they've
Oh,
done, I've pretty much
they're
loved.
great.
Raising Arizona, all that.
Mhm.
And this is with his wife. So they wanted to do a project together. And so it's a three-part, they call it a trilogy lesbian B flick. So the first part of that was Driveaway Dolls, and that's out
Oh,
now.
Drive. You know what? I wanted to see that, and we didn't get it here.
It's on
Have Margaret?
streaming.
Yeah,
Do you not
Margaret.
get the same things on in Canada?
Well, here's the thing. My TV's just set up to watch Blu-rays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm one of these people. I was back in our theater by July of the pandemic, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like I didn't get COVID, but I
I
was
didn't until
not.
last year.
Well, I was constantly working.
Yeah.
I was always working as a cleaner, but I wanted to get back in the theater because I still like going to the movie theater, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
Driveway Dolls, we didn't get, and I wanted to see it. Of course, Margaret Qualley was in that, you
She's
know.
beautiful. She's in that mine too. I had my scenes with her. Margaret's wonderful. She's Andy McDowell's daughter. She's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful and so sweet and so supportive. They all were. Chris Evans is in it, Captain America. I freaked out because I got to sit beside him in the table read. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Captain America is beside."
Did he throw the shield?
No, he didn't, but he was definitely gorgeous. And my hand accidentally touched his leg one time, and I was like, "Oh, I touched Captain America!" But he was super sweet too. They were all really nice. Yeah. Who else is in that film? There's a bunch of people in that. Billy Eichler. Um, oh gosh, what's his? Oh, I can't believe I'm spacing. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
You just a minute. I'll bring your I got your IMDb up right
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah. So when the pandemic happened and stuff, I lived in Los Angeles for 20 plus years. But I had a child and got married late in life, and my child has special needs. So when the pandemic happened, it was an awful situation for everybody, but that was when everything went to putting yourself on tape. So you could pretty much live everywhere. And even though Los Angeles is my home of choice, it's so expensive and so hard. And I had zero family there. I mean, I had a lot of friends, but I didn't trust them to keep my kid. Let's just be honest. Yeah, and they were all, actors at different points in their life. Most of them had already had grown children because, I had my kid at 43. So we moved back to Texas to be closer to have family support, and it's been great. I miss LA. I miss my life there and stuff, but it's nice being around family. And I audition more here and have gotten more work here than Los Angeles. So
you
it's
know
kind of like,
something?
wow.
It's funny you mentioned special needs, that you got a special needs kid, because I've had um Cindy Hines on here a couple times, a Canadian actress. She
Mhm.
was the little girl in David Cronenberg's The Brood.
Oh,
And she's 2 years older than me, but she's got a special needs son.
yeah.
And
He's
you know, she's very delightful, and I've seen the pictures on Facebook. She treats her son very, very well, and it's not a chore for her. But she's also has that. So I know people that can relate to what you're dealing with. But I never wanted kids. I always tell people,
Me
get a
neither.
cat. I always say, get a cat,
Yeah, yeah,
get a
I
cat.
didn't really want kids either, and neither did my husband. And then after we'd been married for like a year, it was like he was like, "I want a kid," and he's 5 years younger than me. So,
Mhm.
probably changed, in those years getting older, finally wanting a kid and stuff. And I still didn't, but I thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to give it a year. I'll give it a try. And then boom, 4 months in, I'm like, I guess I'm a fertile myrtle. I thought these eggs had done expired, but I guess not. So then the minute I found out I was pregnant, of course, I was excited and ecstatic and started getting, really happy about it. But I had never wanted kids either. I'd always wanted to just have a selfish life for myself, have fun, travel, work on my career. I didn't want any kind of thing hindering my freedom. And it's been rough, but he's my life. He's
Mhm.
everything, and he's a sweetie, and it is hard, and I'm old and tired, but he's a joy, and there are really, really hard days, but there are also really great days, and he's just a little love bug. So, he has autism, he's nonverbal, ADHD, a bunch of stuff like that, global developmental delay. So he's got a lot of issues going on, but he's making progress, and we've, been doing therapy now for over 5 years. So with ABA, speech, OT, and he started school this year. So he is really, really coming along and saying some words and stuff and some phrases. Um, Not conversational. It's more like echolalia, like repeating. You know, like he'll say Happy Mother's Day all year long, every day. Happy Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day, or tacos, or not cool. Whatever he's picked up, he'll say. Which unfortunately, I have a potty mouth, so sometimes he picks up the bad ones too. My husband, he curses in Dutch because he's Dutch. So, he can say things and get away with it, and my kid can try to say it too, and nobody knows. But, when he says shit, people can hear that and understand what he's saying.
Or like in the movie Airplane, shit translates as golly.
Yeah. So yeah, but he's a sweetie, and life changes and it goes in different directions, and I'm still able to do what I do. It's just in a not where I was, but here, and that was the one good thing that came out of the pandemic for me was being able to free up where I, live and reside. And my husband, he's an editor and a producer for ranker.com, so he can work literally anywhere in the world
Mhm.
because it's online. So it worked out. And Lubbock would not have been my first choice. I'm from here, but it's not necessarily a hub for the arts. It's been real difficult trying to get people to come to classes because I'm also teaching and stuff, which I did in LA as well. But I mean, it's been hard this year. I have free classes and I will have people not show up. It's a nonprofit. Like they pay me, but it's free to them and people aren't showing up. I'll have zero people. And so it's not a hub. If it's not football or it's not soccer or sport, it's not, Lubbock's just not they've got a music scene, but not really an actor or improvisation comedy, anything like that. I don't even know where if there's a stand-up club here. I'm sure there is, but
Hold that
yeah.
thought. Hold that
Hmm.
thought. I was going to say, you're telling me that Lumberg did not have a daycare set up there at the office, but
No,
no.
jerk.
Yeah. You don't think
Yeah.
that your son could have learned anything from listening to Milton?
Yeah, exactly. He would be like stapler, 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 stapler.
I was going to say, I've interviewed an actress that lives in Texas. Her name is Lar Park Lincoln. And
Oh.
I know her because she was in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. But she
Mm.
teaches acting. She's got an acting class there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And if you want me to, I can connect you with her.
Well, yeah, I that would be good, but she's probably like, it's so hard to get students that is she in Dallas? Where's she at?
I think she's in Dallas. Don't
Yeah,
quote
I
me
went.
on
I
that.
had a brief stopover before I decided to come to Lubbock because I thought Lubbock was just going to be too much of a culture shock. So, and I had gotten hired in Dallas at my alma mater where I went to film school to do on camera. So we were there for about a year. We lived in Fort Worth before we came to Lubbock, and I taught at Kim Dawson's Actors Studio Conservatory of the Southwest, and then I also taught for downtown Fort Worth, a comedy group that's been around for about 25 years. They're pretty famous in the Metroplex, called 4 Day Weekend. And so I was also teaching classes there and stuff. But yeah, when we decided, okay, 4.5, 5 hours is still too far away from family, we're not getting any, the support. It was just kind of apparent, okay, we got to go to Lubbock.
Yeah,
But after you've lived in LA for 20 years and then you go to Lubbock, so millions of people and so many things to do, and then there's 200 something thousand here, and really the only thing to do here is Texas Tech football, go to the movie, or eat out. That's the kind of thing. We've got tons of restaurants, but my fat butt doesn't need that. It's like I need to venues where I can go see music, and they do have that here. It's just not on the level of LA, where you can go to all these different fun museums and the outdoor venues, the Hollywood Bowl, the beach, stuff like that. So it's been a bit of a culture shock coming back to it, even though I was from here and raised here. But it's okay. And it's good to be around family, and I'm finding my way. It just takes a while. If you build it, though, they will come. So I'm trying to figure out how to build, the acting business on the side so then I can, in between gigs of acting, because you never know. Could have been my last job I ever booked. You just never know. Um, trying to find that income because life is expensive and having a special needs is expensive. And believe it or not, we were actually better financially off in LA than we were here in Texas, because they had so many more programs, you know,
hmm
and we qualified for more things. Here, the threshold is so high in Texas to qualify for, like, disability. He's disabled,
hmm
you know, we don't qualify. Okay, so,
Wow.
but yet we have to pay, out of pocket all the time. It's $35 a day to go do a treat to do his therapies. That's 5 times a week times blah 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 blah. And I can't have a 9 to 5er because I have to go and take him everywhere and pick him up, and he's sick all the time. And so, it's just it's obviously I need to book a therapy session. So, anyways, but it's all good. It's just figuring it out, and everybody's figuring it out. The pandemic shook the whole world to its core, and none of us had ever seen anything the likes of that in our lifetime. And so, just trying to figure out and navigate back into the world and how we feel about everything. And of course, politically now, I don't even want to go there, but it's just what's going on? The world's going to hell in a handbag. It's just these are our two candidates, really.
Well,
So,
let's just say we're not happy with our current prime minister, if you've heard anything about that.
mhm.
So I'm voting for Pierre Poilievre at the next election, and he's at least our silver lining. I
Yeah.
hope he does what he says, but our current prime minister has been a complete nightmare. I've wanted to move to Toronto since 2017,
Mhm.
and I even had a job lined up there and can't seem to get moved there. And that was when stuff started coming into my feed about the inflation and Trudeau versus Poilievre. And
Mhm.
yeah, and Trudeau, it's just been one scandal after another, and
Mhm.
he's not making himself look any better. And just um yesterday, they lost St. Paul's and Toronto after 30 years of having it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So um I'm voting for Polyev next year, and met him at a rally, and I'm hoping he comes through on the things he says because uh, don't even get me started on the
Oh, I
number.
know. I know. It's like these are okay. First off, Biden will be 86 if he if he gets the next term,
Mhm.
and then there's Trump, the craziest con man I've ever seen. I don't even know how people are even. It's beyond me. Like we're living in an alternate universe. It's like um, Mike Judge's movie, Idiocracy. It's like what is going on?
I've heard that movie mentioned more
You
than
have to
once.
see it. Have you not seen it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But
okay, okay.
like
I was
I
about to say
said,
that's one of my favorite movies of his.
Yeah, I've been hearing that mentioned a lot, and I'm like, yeah, I think there's a reason for it.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I don't trust any of them. They're all bought and paid for.
Well, our prime minister called the Emergency Act on a peaceful uh, protest for the convoy and shut down froze the bank accounts of people that were supporting it.
Oh my
Something he was
gosh.
did that was not right.
Yeah.
There was a Nazi that got two standing ovations in the Common House.
Oh my gosh.
That didn't exactly endear us. In fact, even
Uh-huh.
Putin weighed in on that one,
Oh God.
and then there's the arrive scam, as I'd like to call it, something to do with COVID. And then there's the carbon tax. But it's like everything. People can't
Mm-hmm.
afford to live.
This is so true. Everything is so extremely high right now. Groceries, I mean, just everything. And now every single person, wherever you go, and I get it, but wants to be tipped. Like, but never before have I ever seen like all these different companies or different people like you're wanting to be tipped now, but they don't make enough. But that's like your employers are getting rich, and it's just this 1%. I just want everything to be shaken out clean, start fresh. They need to take the money out of it. They need to take all these, corporations that have bought and paid for oil corporations and all these people. They're making the laws basically. We're not. They're letting us think we are on our votes and things like that, but they are. So
Well, our prime minister's already said he admires Chinese dictatorship, and I'm like, okay, you go live in China.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you're not bringing that here. No way. I don't.
yeah, I mean, Trump has said things like that too, like his respect for the North Korean and all this. It's just like, are you kidding me? And wants to make him presidency a life term. Oh my God, ugh.
Oh
The fake
my.
bake has gone to his head. It's gone to his head. The fake tan stuff. I mean, I think it's got chemicals or something, but it is effect. I just can't even. Oh, I'm getting my blood pressure up right now. I better stop.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So Polyev is gonna have a hell of a lot to clean up whenever he gets in, and I think he's going to get in here in Canada. But he's got my
That's good.
vote, and it sounds very promising, and I hope he stands by everything he says because we need it. We
Yeah.
need it. But maybe Bill Lumberg should run for president.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'd all be working on Saturdays though, for sure, you
Well, it's
know.
no different for me. One thing that annoyed me is when the pandemic happened, there was all this talk about doctors and nurses, and I get it. I understand they're important.
Uh-huh.
Nobody mentioned the cleaners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, nobody mentions the unless you're like a doctor or this or that, you're not going to get mentioned. Nobody mentioned people that worked with special needs, and things like that, and they're not doctors or anything. They're just, RBTs. So they just have like I mean, they don't even have to have. I mean, they have a degree, but I don't think they have to have like child psychology and stuff. They
Mhm.
train at the ABA place. So, but things like that, and all the grocery workers, and all the people that kept things going, and the phone lines and the things that, just running stuff. Um, And I had so many feelings about that, and I have feelings about conspiracy theorist people and all that. But I remember when all of it was going down, I was like, there's something bigger happening. I really couldn't believe it. I was like, are they trying to take our attention away from what's really going on, with this? But, eventually I was just like, no, it was just, a pandemic. It was just that. But you start to wonder because we can't trust any of them.
I'm starting
They're
to
always
feel
lying.
I'm starting to feel like in the Bible there where they talk about the mark of the beast. I'm starting to feel that getting a little bit too close, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I, I mean, everything needs to be shaked up. Our whole political system, the two parties that, it needs to be opened up. And these are our candidates of choice. We can't have any, it's just ridiculous. Things need to be changed. Electoral colleges votes need to be changed. I mean, just everything. It's just, there's so much. I don't know who could come in and fix it all. You just couldn't.
Bill Lumberg.
Yeah, Bill Lumberg. That's who could do it.
Uh, tell
Gary
me
Cole.
tell me, has your son seen Office Space?
Oh, honey, he doesn't sit still for 5 seconds.
Oh.
So, yeah, he doesn't sit there. I mean, I'll turn on one of his little things he wants to see, and, you know, it's like he'll say, um, Baby Einstein or whatever, and I'll turn it on, and then he'll go, Snowflake. Snowflake. It's like 2 seconds in, he wants to see something else. It's that ADHD, he can't
Mhm.
focus and stuff. So no, he hasn't seen that, but he does. I always wonder if he thinks it's weird when I'm like learning lines and walking around talking to myself, or that I'm filming myself, or I have shown him my reel and things like that, and I'm like, that's mommy. Mommy's an actor. It's not real. It's make but I don't know his cognitive level, how much he gets. So, but I have showed him stuff. You know,
Well, you
so
know
that's
what? There was one year at Christmas in Chapters bookstore. They had these collectibles. And I remember they had, South Park had one, and ooh, there was something else I had one. The Big Lebowski had one, and I got that. And Office Space had one.
yeah, yeah. I have that same kit.
You
I have
got
that.
this?
I got it, and I got it because somebody wanted me to sign some things, and give it as like a raffle. And so I bought that kit and signed a whole bunch of stuff in there, the jump to conclusions mat and all that. So
Yep, this is good. I like how on the back it looks like it's something that's been mailed to you. You
yeah.
know, it says on the back, you're forgetting those covers on your TPS report. Got a case for the Mondays, feeling the urge to destroy your office printer, dealing with a Lumberg of a boss and dying to tell him or her to shove it. Then grab the office space kit. And it's got like on here, it's got like Milton's red stapler. So
Uh-huh, a little one, yeah.
yeah, so even if your desk gets moved to the basement, at least you'll have your stapler. Just keep it
Uh-huh.
out of your boss's sight. And then it's got Lumberg's Intertech mug.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. I have that mug.
Yeah, to carry with you everywhere, of course. And then it says, is this good for the company banner? Just in
Yeah.
case you need another reminder that everything you do is for the greater good of the company.
Uh-huh.
Starter flare to ensure that you're properly expressing yourself. PC loader letter printer sticker so that you can share in Michael Bolton's hatred of the dreaded printer.
That's so funny.
Your very own jump to conclusions mat. You see, it's a mat that you put on the floor with different conclusions written on it that you can jump to. Five TPS report covers, so your confidential reports will never go without their cover sheets again. And this guy, a humorous 32-page book packed with tips, sounds, advice to help you survive your day job in an in and day out. With Office Space Kit and the determination to fight the evils of corporate life, you may just discover that you're a straight shooter with upper management written all over you. And it's got BL signed here. And it says here in the bottom, it says special instructions. It says put in Milton's office. So you got one of these, huh?
I did, and I took out parts of it, like the drop to conclusions, and signed it for this raffle. You ever want me to sign something? Just let me know. I'll send it your way.
Yeah, I got this. It's got the mug and all that stuff. And I got
Uh-huh.
one for the Big Lebowski as well. It's got
Oh,
like the
that's cool. I didn't know they had that one. That's cool.
well, the Big Lebowski one has like a mouse pad that's the rug that ties the room together. It's got a
Uh-huh.
severed toe with green nail polish, and Lord knows what else they've got in that thing. So I grabbed this, and it's just cool that this is what Office Space has become.
Yeah.
And I often hear people say, "Well, it's the box office that matters." Well, in 1999, which was my favorite movie going year, so many movies come out that year that I loved. But the highest grossing film was Phantom Menace, and gotta say, as somebody who loved the original trilogy, wasn't a big fan of Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So I loved Office Space, and I loved so many movies that come out in '99. So many. And Office Space came out, I think, February that year. And yeah, I was there. Do you still remember the premiere of the film? Did you go?
I did. I went to Austin, and I remember sitting there with my aunt because she lives in Austin, and so I could, bring a plus one. So she came with me, and it was the first time I'd seen it with the audience, sitting there. It was at the State Theater in downtown Austin, and yeah, I just remember going, "Where am I?" Like so many of my scenes were cut. And so I just sat there and cried quietly with my aunt, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I did horrible." It was my first thing. I had no idea. I took everything personally. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I must have made a mistake." And then later, when I was at the 10-year reunion, Mike Judge had told me, you had a lot of great stuff. And he said, they reached out to me about the 10-year DVD and wanted to put extras on it, but I was in the throes of, I don't remember what he said, maybe it was King of the Hill or something. He said, so I just didn't have time to go through everything. He said, but you had a lot of funny stuff, and I was going to add it. And maybe, if we have another new edition, it'll get added. So it wasn't anything personal. So I was glad about that. And now, as I've, many years been doing this, I learned it's all about the story, keeping it tight, keeping what has to be there, and you never know. There could have been a sound issue, this, that, you just don't know. Lighting, anything could have happened. So, but yeah, it was really fun. And when I showed up, that they treated us great. They put us up, they had this, limo for us. There was a red carpet. Everybody got to beat a printer with a bat, and they were, beating it up on the red carpet and letting other people beat it. And then we had a Q&A. It was really fun. And then after that, they got all cheap and chintzy, like the whole entertainment industry that's going to hell in a handbag is getting with AI and everything. But they got real chintzy on spending any kind of money. And then after that, it's been like I've had to foot my own bill to go to the 20-year and all that and put myself up and all that. So, anyways, it's everybody's getting so cheap now, the studios and everything, and just try it's been harder, it's never been harder to be an actor, in my opinion,
I
than
agree.
now. Uh, and so times are scary, and this is what I love, and this is who I am, so I'm going to continue to do it. But I constantly go, is there anything else I could be doing that could make income, or is there anything else I'm interested in? I don't want to go back to school, and who's going to hire me now when I'm out of school? I'm going to be in mid 50s if I had to go back and do something. So not really going to be a stellar candidate or applicant for any job when they're probably going to want younger. So, um, I don't know. It's just a big. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody that I talk to, I've never heard so much of people trying to figure out their way, their life, their finances, how to make it work. It's just a really, really tough situation right now for everybody. So hopefully, it won't go any lower. Hopefully, there's only one way to go up is up.
In 2017, I got invited to my first convention. Actress Lisa Langlois out of Toronto invited me to assist her at a horror film convention. And I've done a few conventions with her. In fact, she helped me get my passport. So I did Chiller in New Jersey. It was my first time being in the States.
Oh, wow.
And
And you were in New
they,
Jersey.
well, you know what? Chiller's a pretty big convention, but they kept asking about guest ideas and whatnot. And I had said, and I got a good reaction by people on this. I said, has anybody ever thought about, whether it's Comic Cons or whatever, doing an Office Space reunion? Because I would like to think that that would draw a lot of people.
Yeah, I would too. I would love it. And I would love to get in on the Comic Con world. That would be great money and stuff. So actually one of my friends just said, you need to do some research and find out how you can get in there and try to get yourself out there. My manager had contacted me a while back about somebody up in New York wanted to do something with the Office Space cast, and then I didn't hear anything else about it. So
Oh,
I
they
assumed it
need
got
to.
dropped. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Walmart, I don't know if you saw, but last year we did some of the Office Space cast, me, Lumberg, Jay, Naidu, the actual Michael Bolton, the real Michael Bolton, and some others. In the case of the Mondays, we did a slew of Walmart commercials in November for Black Friday and Cyber Monday and stuff. And so it's online. You can Google it on YouTube and stuff, but it was only online. Um, and that was fun getting to see them again. And so, I was dressed up as Nina. So it's really interesting to see 20 years older Nina.
I bet you still have beautiful red hair.
Well, thank you. My hair has lightened a bunch. I'm getting some white coming in and stuff, but now I'm hitting the bottle. So it's like it's
Well,
trying to find that color that matches. Because really, I only have white right at my part, so it's like one little streak. But I wasn't ready. I was like, no, I'm not ready. Kind of it's my calling card. It's who I've always been. I've always been the ginger, the redhead. So
mhm.
I didn't want to stop that yet.
You say the real Michael Bolton. You're talking about the singer?
Yes, he was in the spot.
Oh,
You've
what
got
does
to
he think? What
Google.
does he think about all of this? I've
He
always wondered.
laughs. He thinks it's hilarious. Yeah,
So
it's
being
funny.
called a no talent ass clown.
Yeah. Oh, he thinks it's hilarious. I think you have to Google him. There's like three or four spots. And just Google Walmart office space Christmas and you'll see all the spots. I'm only in like one, maybe two of them briefly. But yeah, you'll just have to watch. But the Michael Bolton ones cracked me up. It's
Oh, I
hilarious.
bet. I'm glad he has a good sense of humor about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 I didn't get to meet him. He shot on a different day, which I was sad about. But yeah, he's so ready to make fun. And I think that's one of his favorite movies. He loves it.
Oh, I'm glad he loves it because it is such so witty and whatnot, and yeah, no, I love Office Space. They need to get you guys out at the Comic Cons or the fan expos and stuff like that. They need to make that happen. I
Yeah.
mean, and I've been trying to get more people on. I've had Todd Duffy on here a couple times,
Uh-huh.
um, uh, wearing his pieces of flair and still with that smile. I like Todd a lot. And of course, Jennifer Aniston, a big name in that movie, who expresses herself the same way I do in 5 o'clock traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen Jennifer Aniston since the movie?
I didn't see her at the movie. She was finished right before me. So literally, I think she was finished shooting that Friday and I came, that Monday. And that's when she was with Brad Pitt and I was so excited. I thought I was going to get to meet Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston and then they were gone. So I didn't get to meet them, so that kind of sucked. But it was it was overwhelming anyways for me. I was at that time, just a brand new baby basically in the world. So because I was 24 when I auditioned and it was literally months and months and months later that I even heard anything about it. And I had just thought it was over. But then I was in Austin at the Big Stinking Comedy Festival doing some improvisation and going that week and performing. And I got the call back while I was in Austin. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't have to drive there because I was in Dallas, which is like 3.5 hours. So I went and everything, and I was shocked because I was like, oh, this thing? I had even forgotten about it. And Mike Judge was there with some of the uh, producers and Joe Edna Bolden, the casting director. And I did it and everything. And I felt so good about it. And I left and called my agent and I was like, oh, I feel really good about this. Just please, keep me posted about it. She, well, don't get excited. You never know. Usually you won't hear about these things right away. But next morning by like 8 o'clock, and it happened to be on my birthday. I get the phone call. Well, you got it. And I was like, and here I was just a year out of acting school and had only done like this I don't even think I had done almost at that time. This was like my first movie, first film. So aside from student stuff, student films and things like that we shot in school. And so it was just like amazing. And then I booked Where the Heart Is and Almost and all these different things in Anarchist Cookbook. That should have been a clue to me right there that I was going to work probably more in Texas
Hmm.
because when I went to Los Angeles, then you're in a sea of people. You know what I mean? Like I was a big fish in a small pond there. And when I went to Los Angeles, I was a minnow. And I would walk into a room with 50 other chunky redheads going, oh, where did you all come from? And you look like my twin, you know. And whereas in Dallas, it was me. If that's what you wanted, that's who was showing up. So it kind of it was a big, 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 huge shock to my system and stuff. But you got to learn it. You got to pay your dues. You got to go through all that. And then I did start booking. I booked pretty quick out there. Like 4 months in, I booked Bernie Mac. But then I think it was like a year or so before I booked something else. So it's just you never know as an actor. I mean, like as a doctor or nurse or any other person, lawyer, you do your education, you pass, you get a job. Not so with acting. And then it's a constant, you've got to constantly work on your craft. It's not like you just go to school and you're done with it. No, you're constantly working on your craft. And if you're not getting jobs to work on your craft, you're going to classes and stuff like that. So that has been one of the number one things that's bothered me about moving back to Texas is not having my improv group that I was with for so many years and my classes there that I went to. Because there, I go take a class. Helen Hunt is the teacher. She took over for Gordon, her father, when he passed away, or Jason Alexander's doing a class, or blah, 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 blah. Here, you don't have that. You don't have these people giving those classes and stuff. And so you're thinking, and it might be ego, but like, okay, look at my resume and look at yours. And now I'm coming to you as my teacher. So that's the kind of thing that's been kind of hard to find somebody and people that are still like that are really working and still want to improve on their craft in a group. And especially there's nothing here in Lubbock. Nothing that I can go to. And so I have to teach the classes, but I also still want to work on my own craft. I want to go and learn. So, and I do learn by teaching, but just getting up and doing it, um, because I have to say, I felt very insecure on the set of the Ethan Cohen film because it'd been so a while since I'd been, really like professionally acting on,
Hmm.
that level. And so it was like, oh, So that's why I always love and tell my students, you got to keep on, keep on, keep on, because a lot of it is your confidence and just doing it, And so if you let your confidence down and you don't keep building on your craft and learning technique, you get rusty, just like anything else. You got to keep on and keep on, or you're going to get rusty.
Hmm.
So it's like a professional, football player. They do the same things that they did in middle school football. The same, they're passing the ball, they're working on all that, they're hitting, they're doing, all the same things that they did at that level, they're doing at the professional level. And those are the basics, and you drill on them your whole life, like with improvisation and with acting and stuff. So that's been kind of a challenge as well. And I know there are probably people here that would be great teachers and stuff. I just haven't found them, you know. So that's been a challenge, but I feel like I've just been a wah 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 on this podcast. Maybe let's just do this one for practice and do another one for real. And I'll be positive Pollyanna then.
Well, you know what? Like I said, we're gonna come back to the Ethan Cohen movie, but in Office Space, of course, you were in that big office area, and
Mhm.
and you were surrounded by a lot of talent, Gary Cole, Stephen Root as Milton, and you had Ron Livingston, David Herman, AJ, and of course Richard
Riley. Uh-huh.
Riley. Is that how you pronounce Riley? Yeah, yeah. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff as well. Like you've got a lot of gifted, talented people. Now, and of course you got I've reached out to Greg Pitts a couple times to get him on here and just no answer, see if he come on here and do his O face. But
Uh,
I've had Todd Duffy on here, and I thought he was
uh-huh.
great, and I've had you. But out of the folks in the office, any stories that you get to share of anything that stands out while shooting? Because you got quite the talent there surrounding you.
Well, I remember having dinner and drinks with Richard Riley, the Jump to Conclusion Mets guy.
Did he bring
And
that with him?
yeah, that's what we did for dinner. And we had a couple drinks, and he was just talking about, his career. And I was just loving all the stories of Broadway and this and that. And he was just one of the nicest guys you've ever met. Just so nice. And then, I'm forgetting his name. Was it Joe Best? What was it? Oh
Oh,
gosh.
Joe Bays?
Joe Base, yes.
Yeah, the
He and I went
settlers.
to some caves in Austin on our day off. We went to these caves or something, I remember, drove out there. Wow, this is so many years ago. So I don't remember everything, but we did that on one of our days off. And everybody was super nice. Everybody was nice. Only person I had a problem with, I'm not even going to say their name, but then I found out later they also had a special needs child and they were wanting to get home quickly. And now, as I understand myself, in my life, I get it. He was just in a little bit of a hurry and rush. But when I saw him at the different, reunions and stuff, total sweetheart. So there is one person I don't like there, but I'm not going to name names. But
Okay.
one person who was a dick at every time I ever met him, and I didn't work with him on set, and he's one of the beloved characters. But he was a total jerk, in my opinion, at the reunion and stuff. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe it. My sister came with me to the 10-year reunion, and she just asked for a picture, and he just shut her down and said, "Absolutely not." And I'm part of the cast, so it was weird. It was weird. There was other things that he said and did, and I was just like, "You're a jerk."
Wow. Wow.
But different things, and that was 10, 15 years ago. People change,
Well, I'm going to
Maybe he
tell
was
you,
going through a wrong time.
I have heard great things about Gary Cole.
He's awesome. I love Gary. And I've run into Gary several times, not just there, but just in, the world. And I just, a couple of years ago when I did the Walmart spot a year and a half ago for
Hmm.
Christmas, he was great again. He's always super sweet and nice. And I think he has a special needs child too. I'm not sure, but he's awesome. And I would run into him too at one of the parks I would go to and walk at in LA and stuff. And I saw him. I was like, "Is that Gary Cole?" So then I started walking really fast, power walking. I got up behind him and I would like tapped him on the back, and he turned around and he was like, "Well, hello." He's super nice, and he just kind of reminds me of Lumberg in his delivery, how he is in real life. But he's so freaking talented. Loved him in the Brady Bunch stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, I've loved him on everything I've ever seen him on. He is so good.
The story I heard of him, I've had Adam Marcus. He's a film director. He directed Secret Santa and Jason Goes to Hell, The Final
Uh,
Friday. Well,
uh,
he directed Gary Cole in a movie, forget what it was called, something conspiracy or conspiracy something. And Adam was talking about the nightmare working with Val Kilmer on that set.
uh.
And he said that the stories he told about working with Val Kilmer, like I'm surprised he made it through the shoot, but he said as difficult as Val Kilmer was, Gary Cole was the total opposite.
Yeah. Oh, he was
Yeah,
great. I loved Gary. Gary was
yeah.
awesome. I
So
mean, pretty much everybody I met was really great. There's only been, like I said, there's one real jerk, but yeah. But yeah, the cast was, in my opinion, really, really good for this. They really nailed it on like all these people. Because Gary, I mean, nobody else could have been Lumberg, in my opinion.
I
And
bet you that
Milton,
is, huh?
Stephen Root. I mean, who else could have been Milton? Then there's a Jay and David Herman and all of them. I mean, they were just awesome. And of course Peter, uh, Ron Livingston. Just that kind of boring dude. He was kind of boring, and that is so hard to play. I'll tell you right now. But he was just so dry and so perfect. And so, and like I get all the time, sometimes people confuse me with the Case of the Mondays girl, Jennifer Emerson.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, nope, that's not me. But yeah, she's great too, but I haven't seen her at any of the reunions. So
I've tried to reach out to her, but had no success. But nonetheless, I like her eyes. She's got great eyes.
yeah, she did the blue eyes. I know, and I have brownish hazel, amberish eyes. So I was always like, no, I'm not the blue-eyed girl. I'm
Mhm.
the Nina.
Yeah, but but yeah, but there's a lot of people on here that had such great lines, like Diedrich Bader, for example, who played Lawrence.
Hmm.
One of my favorite lines for him is when he says, "You don't need $1 million to do nothing, man. Just look at my cousin. He's broke, don't do shit."
Yeah, he
There's a
was
lot of truth
great.
behind that,
Yeah, he
you
was
know.
great. He was
And
perfect.
Ron Livingston as Peter, I think he was everybody's hero in that movie because
Yeah,
when he went in there and told the Bobs, ex none of us would have done that. He goes in there,
yeah.
he tells them exactly what he thinks of the job,
Uh-huh.
and rather than get fired, he gets a
Yeah,
raise.
exactly, exactly. It was, yeah, and just seeing it in the movie theater at the reunions was
Hmm.
amazing because you know that they're all just huge fans to come to that in the first place. So the theater was just, I've never been in a theater so loud watching a movie, except maybe Borat. And I mean,
Oh,
I've never laughed harder in a movie in my life than the original Borat.
I had the prostitute from Borat on the show
Really?
today. Yeah,
The black
Lunel.
lady? Oh my gosh, I
Yeah, oh,
loved her.
she is so great. I had her on here. She is so awesome. Yep.
She was awesome in that, and the sidekick too that ran through naked. Oh my God. I mean, I really don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. Like I had tears. I was like begging them to stop because my side hurt so bad. And my friend was looking at me. She was, I've never seen you laugh like this. I was like, my at the time it just blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like that, you
I
know.
saw that in the theater as well.
Me too. Me too at Universal Studios. And you know, Sacha Baron Cohen is just, oh wow, he's awesome. He's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. But yeah, do you get recognized much from Office Space?
I did other places. I don't know if people are recognizing me here because they probably think, "Why are you in Lubbock?" You know, kind of thing. But I did in LA more than any place because people would assume, you know, whatever. I did sometimes in Dallas, and when I was there, usually people will maybe recognize my voice if I'm talking, and then they'll look at me and they'll go, "Are you Nina?" And I'll go, "Yeah, that's me." And so they'll have me call like their brother-in-law. I'll be at a bar or something. They'll have me call. Well, this is when I went to bars when I didn't have, you know, to to be home all the time. So I'd be at a bar and they'd be like, "Can you call my brother-in-law?" It's like the East Coast and like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, "I'm not calling your brother-in-law at 3 o'clock in the morning." They go, "No, please, please, they won't get mad. I swear they'll love this." And so I would leave all these messages as Nina, you know, on their answer machine and stuff, or their voicemail. And yeah, that's always fun. I like being recognized. I love it. I mean, it just makes me go, "Oh, okay. I feel like an actor." You know, I feel like I'm doing my job. And of course, I don't like being recognized when I don't have on makeup and I look like crap. And you know, I just ran into the store and it's like, oh, my hair and everything. So then I'm like, eh. But yeah, you know, one time I got recognized in Blockbuster. This is before I even moved to LA. And they said, "Are you?" And I was like, "Yes, I was Nina in Office Space." And my best friend was with me, who gave me the moniker, the nickname, Center of Attention Koa, you know, that kind of thing. And so that was even for a long time, it was Koa Kinna at hotmail.com because everybody called me Koa. I'm not that person anymore. But anyways, so we were at the front and the guy was doing that. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I was in Office Space." And he said, "No, no, no, no. Our sexual harassment video for Blockbuster." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that was me too." So I had done this industrial where I did a sexual harassment video for Blockbuster. And I had gotten hired as the victim. But the day I showed up on set, the director said, "Hold up, we're switching this. You're the aggressor, he's the victim." So then I became the one that was sexually harassing him. And I wouldn't leave him alone. And I was like, "Hey, Juan, I was thinking of going to the movie after work today. I was just wondering if maybe you'd seen this and would like to go." And he said, "Oh, no, thank you." And I was like, "Well, why not?" You know, so I just kept pressing it and everything. But it was hilarious because I was like thinking, "Oh yeah, Office Space." And he was like, "No, the sexual harassment video." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." So, and my friend never let me live it down. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's me, Office Space." And then he was cracking up that it was the sexual harassment thing. So, yeah, I've done so many different. When I was in Dallas, that was a lot of it, commercials and industrials. So, I did a lot of industrials, you know, for their training things. I did one for Sally Beauty Supply, which
Mhm.
was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had. You had a teleprompter, and sometimes you would have to say these ingredients in these things that you couldn't pronounce, and you had to do it perfectly. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it was so stressful on those days." And I did several of them. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most stressful job I've ever had. But I learned how to do a teleprompter. So that was cool. Because I'd never done one before that, and I lied and said I had at the audition. I was like, "Yeah, I can work with a teleprompter," and I hadn't. So I don't suggest lying to people about what you're good at
Why
because I
not?
did
Our current prime minister does it on a daily
exactly.
basis.
Exactly. But the Anarchist Cookbook, I remember them asking me if I could roller skate. And I said, "Yeah." Well, I had, but not in like 20 years and 100 pounds. And so here I am on roller skates at Prince Hamburgers, one of the oldest, I don't even think it's there anymore, but what it was at the time, the oldest hamburger joint in Dallas. And there was cleachy, it wasn't even pavement. It was like cleachy rocks and everything broken up. And I'm a roller skating waitress And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What I couldn't even hardly stand. And then the Teamsters, they were like holding me up on the side so I could like, and then I was like trying to skate over this stuff. So then they put down like a plywood so I could, just skate on the plywood. Well, I still couldn't do it nearly without falling. So, and then they walk their check in the scene and I have to chase after them. And so here you see all of them run past the screen, and then here comes me about 15 seconds later, just trying to walk in skates, not even like skating. And so Jordan, his name was Jordan, the director, he was like, okay, he said, normally I'd be super pissed that you lied to me. He said, but you know what? It was hilarious, so I'm fine with it. So I was like, oh God, thank you so much. Because he was like, you really don't skate, do you? And I was like, nah, I don't. So yeah, don't lie to people about your skill set.
You got any stories of working with Natalie Portman and Anywhere But You or Anywhere But Here?
Play. What was it called?
Is it Anywhere But Here?
The heart is.
Oh,
Ooh,
Where the
where the
Heart
heart
Is.
is.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
my God! I can't believe I just spaced where the heart is.
Where the
She
Heart
was,
Is. Yeah, one of
Natalie.
those.
Yeah, where the heart is. Um, she that was like right at the height of her fame, kind of starting to happen. She
Hmm.
was nice, but she was very reserved and not as talkative. But she did say hello and everything. But then I ran into her years later at the Country Canyon store on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in Los Angeles and tried to speak to her, but I think she thought I was a fan and didn't recognize me. So she kind of blew me off. But, anyways, she's nice, but, you know, I didn't get to know her that well. When you're at that level, you're pretty guarded, you know,
Oh, wow.
because
Okay.
everybody wants you, wants a piece of you, you know? That's what fame is. And to me, I don't want that. I just want to work, do what I love, and make money. And every once in a while, be able to go on a vacation, buy my own home, not rent. Be a
Yeah.
homeowner. So I've never owned a home in my life. I've always been a renter because you know, being an actor, you're not rich. People have this idea. I think that some people that I grew up with and went to high school with would think that I probably have a ton of money or something just because I've been on TV or in a film. And I just want to laugh in their face and go, you guys have way more than I do. Do you realize that like last year I made $10,000? That was it. You know, that was it before taxes, before commissions, and stuff like that. So it's just, they don't understand that,
I certainly get it from being around some of the people I've interviewed at the cons. I certainly get it.
Well, that's
Like,
what the whole strike was about, AI and streaming services, because we're not getting residuals for streaming, and now all the networks, they're all on streaming. So there isn't really that network residual anymore or, reruns and things like that.
mhm.
Reruns and all that, what's it called? When you're reruns and you've got all that money, like Friends and people like that. Oh gosh. It's when you've been around for 5 years and then you get they make a ton of money off of that. But now I don't get any money. I'll get checks for 2 cents. I'll get checks for 3 cents. I'll get checks for 24 cents. It's ridiculous. The residuals have gone downhill. You can't make a living at it anymore unless you're working all the time. And yeah, I might get paid, 1,000 or 1,200 or whatever scale or whatever to shoot one day, but I may only shoot one day, and that's in a year. So the Cohen film, I had to put myself up. I had to be a local hire because it's shot in New Mexico. So I had to put myself up. I had to bring myself out. I didn't get any kind of per diem or any of that. You had to agree to be a local hire. So now that's what they're doing. That's the bad part of getting on camera. And audition and being able to be anywhere now in the world and still be an actor instead of the main hubs is you have to be willing to be a local hire. So now you're paying for all your travel, your expenses, paying for hotels, this and that. You're making a little, and then you're paying commissions and taxes. You don't make anything. I
Yes.
paid money to be in that movie, basically. So it's just harder than ever. And I know I sound really bitter, but if anybody out there is listening and thinks they want to be an actor, don't.
I'd say
If money is what you need, don't be an actor.
when it comes to Office Bay, I think the one that's probably living comfortably would be Jennifer Aniston.
Oh
Other
yeah,
than
yeah. And I bet Gary Cole, he's done so many different things. I mean, I bet
Gary
all of
Cole,
them and
yeah.
Stephen Root and all of them, they're not probably gazillionaires, but they have a home, they have a nice life, whatever, probably.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know how much they're paid. They've just been around forever and they were around earlier when, we had residuals. So they probably made good money. This has just been in the last decades, here of the streaming services that we're getting screwed now. And
Yeah.
now they don't want to they only want to put commercials on streaming services. So they can pay you $500 for 6 months and the shoot, and they're good, and they can run the shit out of it. It's just ridiculous. So, anyways,
Well, let's talk about um the Coen Brothers movie, Honey Don't. I like that.
well, it's not the Cohen brothers. It's Ethan Cohen and his wife, Trisha Cook, who has
Trisha Cook.
been his film editor since The Big Lebowski. She's edited all their films.
I love The
And
Big Lebowski.
yeah, and she's amazing. And they're married, and they wanted to do a project together. And she uh, brought this trilogy thing. So that's them. So it's not his other brother, Ethan. It's
So
Ethan. It's not
are
the other
they
one.
not doing films together? Him and
I
his
think
brother?
they still do. I mean, I think they have one coming up that they're going to do together. I think it's a horror
Okay.
movie, but
Okay.
this particular movie he did with his wife. These three movies, this trilogy he's doing with his wife. So
Well, I really wanted to see Driveway Dolls, and we didn't get it here. I'm actually really pissed this weekend because we didn't get Kinds of Kindness, and I've had an Emma Stone crush since Superbad in
uh,
2007. So
yeah,
it's
have you
like,
seen Poor Things?
yeah, I had to go to Toronto to see it though. I was
Uh,
vacationing in Toronto and I saw Poor Things and Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage, and neither one came here. But I was glad I got to see them in Toronto. Yeah, Emma Stone is my celebrity crush. And
She's great. That was an awesome movie. I have to say, I had no idea at all going into it at all what it was about. And I
mhm.
just watched it because it was one of the films. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
I can watch her read the phone book. I mean,
Yeah.
Emma just, she just, from watching like Superbad was her first film, watching her come from that and to where she is now, it's like watching how she's evolved. And,
Uh-huh.
so I was disappointed we didn't get Kinds of Kindness. I'm going to really be ticked off if we don't get Maxine because I want to see that. But, but this one there, Honey Don't, I would like to see that. So it's part of a trilogy that includes Drive-Away Dolls.
Driveaway Dolls is the first one. Honey Jones the second one, and then there's going to be a third one. I don't know what it's called yet or anything about it. It's very, very hushed,
Are
lips
they
on
all the
everything.
same
Like,
characters?
no.
Okay.
Well, well, I haven't seen Drive Away Dolls. I need to watch it. But I think Margaret Qualley is the same character because she's also in the second one. She's Honey. So I think she is, going to be in all three of them.
I remember the first time I seen her was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
Yes, and she was also in Poor Things too.
yep,
And I didn't realize that. And I watched Poor Things when I was in Albuquerque shooting, and I watched it with my cousin who lives there and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea Margaret was even in it. But then I was finished shooting and I didn't get to see her. And I went back for the wrap party, but none of the big names were there at the wrap party. Oh, Aubrey Plaza's in it.
I was gonna
Um,
bring her up. I think she's
she is
hilarious.
hilarious. I didn't get to meet her though. I was sad about that. Oh God, what is I loved him. He was so good. Charlie Day.
Charlie Day from
Always
Horrible
Sunny in
Bosses.
Philadelphia. Yeah, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia too. That's what I was talking about earlier. He's super nice. He was one of the nicest. And Margaret's super. They were all awesome on that set.
Oh,
I didn't meet one bad person.
Kristen Connolly in this as well from Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
I didn't
Charlie
realize
J.
that.
Speaking of Office Space, he was in Horrible Bosses.
Yeah.
There's a crossover for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen that. That was a hilarious movie with Jennifer Aniston. So
Jennifer
there you go.
Aniston again. I did.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an incestuous business, isn't it? They're just a, but
Yes.
see, that's the you have to get into that little echelon, to be 6 degrees from everybody and be in all these things. It's like once you get that one thing, that one thing, then you're working. And that's what I want. I've always wanted to do Broadway, film, TV, all those things. And I've never done Broadway or any of that. But you know, I want to have a TV show, be a series regular. I mean, that's the ultimate, is to be a series regular on a hit show. That's the life I want. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna manifest it right now.
There you go. Yeah,
And it shoots in Lubbock, so I can be here with my kid. Let's manifest this.
there you go. Wow. So you got to work with Chris Evans and Margaret Qualley. That was good.
Chris Evans just at the table read. I didn't have any scenes with him. My scenes though were with all with Margaret Qualley. So she was awesome. I mean, she
Was
was just so natural and perfect and beautiful. I mean, just you look at somebody and you're going, oh my gosh. And she looks like her mom, She looks like Annie McDowell, who I think is beautiful and
hmm
love her. And I think they're all really close, her and Ethan and Trisha. Like I think they know each other before all of this. I know that they know her from, Driveaway Dolls, but it just seemed like they were super close. So, and I know that all of them are from New Jersey or living in New Jersey or Brooklyn. Wait, where did they say? Brooklyn or New Jersey? East Coast somewhere. But yeah, Ethan Cohen was super cool. His wife is super nice. They were awesome. They were just amazing. And so, like, mm, complimentary and everything. It was just, I was in my head, like I said, because I felt rusty. But they were awesome. And they were just, I mean, it was like the chance of a lifetime. And I honestly, I don't care that I paid more money than I made to be in that movie just to go and do it because chance of a lifetime to work with Ethan Cohen, you know.
yeah, yeah. No, I wanted to see Drive. We didn't get dinner theater. That ticks me off because I always go through the schedule to see what's coming, and there's usually films I pick out, and it's always a bummer when something doesn't come here that I want to see. And Driveway Dolls was something I was interested to see.
Now, I know for my husband, like you said, you don't have any streaming services, but like he's from the Netherlands. So in the Netherlands, their Netflix may have different movies than our Netflix and stuff. You know, it might be somewhat different there with more of Netherlands films and different things like that, Dutch films, but just a different thing because sometimes my husband's family over there doesn't have what we have on Netflix on their Netflix. So I was just wondering if Canada has the same exact Netflix or if it's different and kind of catered to Canada.
Actually, with me, it's just I could get Netflix. I don't have my t television set up for it. It's just
Yeah.
set up to watch my movies, like
Yeah,
watch
because
my
you could we
Blu-rays.
have Roku and we just download all the apps, and some of them you have to pay for and some of them are free. And some of them you can get on and just, rent the movie. I'm trying to think of where it was on. I think Drive Away Dolls is on Peacock. I think it's on
Okay.
Peacock. So if there's any way you could, get a Roku or whatever, or download or go to a friend's or something. And if they have Peacock, I think you could watch it for free because I saw that there was no charge on it.
Okay. So, what was it like working with Bernie Mac?
He
The
was so
late great.
nice.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
sadly
the late
gone.
great. Oh my gosh, he was so tall, which I didn't really. I mean, I'm 4'11", so everybody's tall to me, but he was gigantically tall, so super sweet, so nice. Oh, he was just awesome. That was a great set, the best experience, the first experience in LA, and that was a great experience. And it was just like I had never worked in a TV show before, and I didn't realize how fast paced it moved. Whereas you're sitting around forever on a set, on a film set, you don't do that on TV. Everything's quick, especially because they had the show going for already a couple of years. So it's like a fine oiled machine where they just have it down. It was on the lot. So it was a stage house. So everything was set up already, cameras and different stuff. So it was just easy. It was like the quick, fast, easy shoot, and it was just everybody was so kind and nice, and I just, yeah, I was so bummed when he died because he was so sweet.
Mhm. Now, I don't know anything about Almost, so what my appetite on that?
Oh Lord, that one you can not watch.
Oh,
That
okay.
was a little independent thing I did here in LA that uh yeah, that was all of it was supposed to happen within 24 hours in the film, on the film itself. And so, but the film itself was independent and shot by this guy named Lawrence Moore from Amp Entertainment. And I love Larry, but this was a crazy shoot. It lasted about a year and a half,
Hmm.
and because we did it in segments, and so you couldn't do anything different with your hair, and we were in Dallas at the time in Texas, and so it was in winter when we started shooting, so we had on sweaters and coats and different things. And so when we're still shooting in summer and 100 and plus heat, and we have on coats and stuff, so that was awful. Then I found out that my whole, like, most of the sound didn't even work. So I had to do my entire role ADR in my apartment with him. And I lived in Irving, which is right there by DFW. So it was constant airplanes going over. So we'd have to stop. And it was the summer and it was hot. And we couldn't turn on the air conditioner because it would make the rumbling sound. And so it was just like that was but that was good. It was good. I was young. I got to see what it's really like slopping together on an independent film with no money at all attached and doing it over like a year and a half. With like a bare ass minimum crew. Like he was the crew. There was one person holding a camera and he was holding the boom and the director. Like he was the crew and the sound didn't work. So it was crazy. But when the sound did work, me and my friends were in the car and we were so pissed off about everything and we were burning our asses up, just in the heat of it, sitting there in this car and waiting for things to happen. And we forgot that we had the microphone on. And so we're just like, fucking Larry and all this shit we're saying, and I was like, oh, microphones. And so I have no idea to this day if Larry heard any of that stuff, but sorry, Larry, we love you. We were just a little hot and dehydrated and tired. But yeah, that was definitely one of the craziest film things I'd ever done for sure.
I noticed you did an episode of Supergirl. Now, any stories of
That
working
was the
with
pilot. Uh-huh. I was in the
Melissa
pilot
Bono
episode.
Melissa Benoist, who
She
I
wasn't in my
first
scene. Yeah, she wasn't in my scene.
oh
I saw
I
her, I said
first
hi.
saw her in Whiplash, and
Oh, I love Whiplash.
I
Yeah.
thought she was cute then, and now you see her all dolled up, and I'm like, yeah, I knew she was cute when you weren't supposed to think she was cute.
Yeah, I met her like 5 seconds. She's super nice. I'm really good friends with Helen Slater, the original Supergirl. She's one of my good friends and I love her and stuff. But yeah, I just did the pilot of that and it was fun, but I didn't get to work with her, so I don't know. I know that Helen says she's wonderful.
Helen Slater, I just missed her because when I did Chiller, she was one of the guests there, and I don't know whether she left early or whatnot because she was part of a big event. They brought in William Shatner, uh, Helen Slater, Sybil Shepherd, Chris
Wow.
Kattan, and Charo. And
Oh, wow.
well, William Shatner was there for 4 hours on the Saturday, and but Chris Kattan and Helen Slater, I never saw them there. I know they were there, but I don't know whether they stayed the whole time. Like they were supposed to be there Friday and Saturday, but don't I don't know. I did meet Sybil Shepherd and I met Charo and I wanted to meet Helen Slater, but she was not there when I come around there. So
Well,
I
bummer, because she's a wonderful, beautiful person. I
mm,
mean, she's so nice, so beautiful. She's still just gorgeous as ever.
she was in
I think
Ruthless People.
one of my favorite movies, hilarious with Judge Reinhold. Oh my God, love that
Hmm.
movie. She was great in that. One of my, and she was in City Slickers, and she's been in so
Hmm.
many things, that I just, oh, there's Helen. I forgot she was in that, but just of course the Legend of Billie Jean and all that. So
Hmm. You got any charities that you want to plug and promote on here?
anything to do with autism, there's just so much we don't know about it. They've, linked it to some genetics and some things like that. But, why this huge amount of people now having it, getting diagnosed? Is it something in our, environment? Is it what is happening? Or are we just hearing about it more now? Or are people being overdiagnosed? And is there any way to cure this? Because, um, and I know people might get upset about that and go, oh, well, it's a beautiful thing. Well, if your child's dipping their toe in it, maybe it's a beautiful thing. But when you can't know what's going on in their head and they're banging their head against a wall, that's not a beautiful thing.
No.
So, you know, the levels and stuff, it makes a big difference. And he's, at the most severe level, and it's so hard and it's sad and it's heartbreaking at times. And then, so I just want people to be educated on it. There's a lot of judgment around it. We go places, he's having a meltdown. People are like, control your child, things like that. And I'm like, have at it, control them. People say spank them. Even his psychiatrist said that. I was like, would you spank somebody who had Down syndrome? For being Down syndrome? Would you spank somebody? He can't, uh, this is something that he can't control. So people just don't know about it enough, and people are scared of it, and I get it. I didn't know anything about it myself, and I mean, we're just barely scratching the surface of what we know about it. And doctors too. I mean, I've had literal doctors and people here saying, I'm sorry, I've never had anybody this severe, so I don't, and it's like, you're a doctor, you're a pediatrician, you're a this. And the bad thing about being in Lubbock is we're limited. We're limited to the services here. Whereas in Los Angeles, there was competition because you could throw a rock and hit an ABA or OT or speech person or, whatever to help, with your child and your child's needs. But here, you've got three list and you already didn't like the one, and so you went to the other one, and now you don't like that one. Well, tough shit. This is what you've got, or you're going to be driving to Dallas. Well, Dallas is 6.5 hours away, so it's just like everything here. It's a smaller place, so they don't have the amount of tools and things to use. So just raising awareness, raising money for research for that, and maybe hopefully not a cure, just ways to help them communicate, and to help them, because it's a sad feeling to think your child is like stuck inside their own prison in their brain and their bodies, and there's so much they want to say and tell you and they can't. So it's just everybody has their own road, and this is my road, and this is what I've taught improvisation to teenagers on the spectrum, and it was so fulfilling. And I've taught college kids on the spectrum at Tech, Texas Tech. They're the Burkhart Center and the Burkhart Players. They're neurodivergent cast members, and I went in and taught there, and they were amazing. I love working with kids on the spectrum that can have verbal skills because they're hilarious without even knowing it. They take things so literally, and just they're so honest and they're so playful, so it's just it's amazing. Some of the most funny and wonderful touching things I've seen, have happened when I've been working with them. So I mean, it just holds a special place in my heart that probably would have never been there had I not had a child that had this. But now that I do, then I have to be his advocate. So, anything we can get, services for people, it's expensive and schools don't know how to deal with it. And you don't want them going to special schools because if they're in special schools where everybody's nonverbal, they're not around people who talk, so it's just finding these programs and things for people and creating those. And they're very hard to find, especially in small rural towns or even in small cities. So to have a place for this and for parents, support groups, things like that, just anything to do with helping out in that world. So I know there's Autism Speaks. I've heard negative things about them with what they do with their funds. So I don't know that that would be a place to donate. But like with me, I just donate to the places around here and to the centers themselves and stuff when I can, when I'm not paying out the nose anyways for stuff. So that's it. And just giving people more grace and understanding. We're all judgmental. It's something we do when we first see somebody. We make a snap judgment of what this person's going to be like in most cases. And some of that's for survival, is this person dangerous or this or that? But to know that it's not always as it appears and the child is not a bad child or just behaving badly just because, you know, they're screaming or this or that. They're getting sensory overload. And I just want people to, there's a documentary and there's a book called The Reason Why I Jump. And it's a great book and documentary to watch to learn more about autism. And also there's on Netflix, Love on the Spectrum. It's a cute, lovely little series about, people on the spectrum trying to find love and date. And it's adorable. And very, very, there's times it's sad, but it also leaves you with a hopeful feeling. So just surrounding yourself a little more and trying to find out some information about it and educate yourself and try to educate other people so that it's not as hard on these families because we don't feel like we can go anywhere. You know, I can't go out and be in public because people look at us if he can't handle it, and he's deathly afraid of dogs, and dogs are everywhere. So even in our own backyard, he runs inside the house because he can't even be out there to play because dogs barking, so it's like people don't think of these things until it happens to them.
I like my kitty cat.
Yeah, I love kitty cats too. I love all dogs. But I
Yeah.
think, a service dog would be so good for him, but he's so scared. So, we're trying now to desensitize him with watching videos and about puppies and all this. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that you just, they're all different. They're all snowflakes, but they all have a lot of things in common. The kids on the spectrum and stuff.
So when are you going to be at the next birthday party that Milton's not going to get any cake?
Oh, I've been at all the birthday parties since then, and he's never gotten cake. Yeah, I just that scene, so funny, and just the way we're singing, the awful, pathetic office, the way they all sound. What I loved about it is all the extra casting too. I mean, everybody looks like a real office, It's not Hollywood office. It's like everybody looks like they came from a real office,
Yeah.
And there were some great characters in that.
Oh, Mike Judge was great at writing not just dialogue, but the little quirks that
Yeah.
you recognize out of everyday people.
Yes, he's a genius. I mean, he really
Yeah.
is. He's super, super smart. I mean, I think he was like an engineer of some type before this, and then, with Beavis and Butthead, and just, I mean, he's great. He's prolific, and he's Hugely successful. He's nice. He's funny. Um, yeah, he's
Yeah,
a great guy.
yeah. So upcoming, you have just the Ethan Cohen, Trisha Cook
That's
project.
coming, yeah. And I've had a couple auditions here, kind of waiting to hear about things, but you know, don't like to jinx it. So I'm not going to talk about it because the minute I talk about it, it won't happen. But yeah, just auditioning for, things and got a camp coming up for teenagers at this nonprofit called Luca. It's the Louise
Mhm.
Hopkins Underwood Center for the Arts, and it's a nonprofit. And it's going to be in July. So if you live anywhere close to Lubbock and you've got a teenager that's interested in acting and improvisation, come to the July 15th through the 19th. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 12. And on the last day, on the Friday, we have a little show for parents to come and watch. So it's going to be
Office
fun.
Space.
Yes, yes. We're going to watch Office. We're going to watch my reel instead of your children that you paid to come to this camp. It's all about me.
And there's no pinata there either. It's going to be
Yeah.
a printer or fax
Exactly.
machine.
Exactly. Exactly. We're going to put on a version of Office Space, the stage version with all the characters, the kids as characters. That might actually really be funny. If there was like a commercial or something where kids were dressed up like the Office Space people and doing a commercial. Oh, let's write that down. Okay, we're going to do that, Greg. Let's get a commercial going. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've just been chatty Cathy. I had a lot of coffee, so
Oh, people want to hear you, not me. So I'm glad that you kept the conversation going. Are you going to be
I'm
in
sorry,
the?
I feel so bitter today talking about all these things. And the world's great. It's beautiful. It's roses. I just shit out a flower.
You go be in the third Ethan and Trisha movie?
No, unfortunately not.
Ah,
Sad. Yeah, yeah. I get to, I'm pretty white trash, we'll say, in this movie, which I love. It's fun to play. And so when I auditioned, I auditioned and I showed one of my friends before I sent it. He's a fellow actor and one of my best friends. I said, "What do you think? Honest opinion, haven't sent it yet." And he said, "You got to be uglier, girl. Uglier, uglier, uglier." So the makeup came off, the hair went out crazy, the tank top came on. And if you know me, I do not like my arms, or I would never be caught dead in a tank top in public. So I did it, you know. Fortunately, I did not have to wear a tank top when I shot it. I wore, a normal shirt. But, I don't know if it was that or what, but I got down and dirty. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And they were just, I mean, people they were so nice. It's like you can be at the highest level and still be a nice, kind person. You don't got to be a jerk, and he is at the highest level you can be. I mean, he's a Coen brother. He's done some of the all-time favorite classic movies in the world, of all time. So he could have been a huge dick, but he wasn't. He was a nice, warm, sweet. So was Trisha, his wife. Wonderful human. So I have nothing but nice things to say about both of them. They're great.
and of course Margaret Qualley as well. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
everybody I met on the set was great. They were all so nice, every
yeah.
single one of them.
Well,
So
that is
yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. Well, do you have anything else you want to plug and promote before we close out?
Let's see. Let's see. Right now, not so much. Yeah, it's kind of a slow time. Summer, this and that. Yeah, not really. Sorry, I wish I was more interesting.
Oh, I think you're perfectly interesting, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
Jeepers, we've gone a long time on here, so I think it's great, and it's glad to have you come on here and talk about Office Space and celebrate its 25th anniversary. And
Office Space changed my life in so many ways. It's how I met my husband. It's
mhm.
how I have my kid ultimately, or if I didn't have my husband. It got me so many other jobs, or at least auditions to be seen. So I owe Mike Judge a lot, for that one movie. And I look because my husband, I didn't know him. He was in the Netherlands. And, I added him on Facebook. I don't even remember when he sent me a friend request, but one day he spoke on my wall, and I was like, "Who's this little hottie from the Netherlands? And do I know him?" So I sent him a message, a private message, said, "Do I know you?" And he was like, "Oh, but I think you're a great actress." Blah 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 blah. Blah. Well, then let's talk. So we started talking, and then we were talking every day, back and forth, and then we were webcamming. This was before Zoom and all that. This was years and years ago. So webcams and all that. And then he was coming over here and meeting me. And then we did 5 years back and forth and me living over there for several months. And, it was just, but none of that would have happened. We would have never met had it not been for that movie and him being a fan of it. So
Hmm.
I don't know whether to say thank you, Mike, or fuck you. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so that movie's meant a lot to me. And, if I never do anything else again, at least I have office space, to be proud of.
There you go. Maybe Mike Judge can send your husband a box of Flair.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him for that. I'm gonna say, "Hey, Mike." No, Mike is super cool too. I mean, he's easy to talk to. He's funny. He gives great advice. A friend of mine that came with me, the same friend, came with me to the last reunion, he asked him, Mike, what do you give people coming up? What's the suggestion you give them to do on how to come up and be in your world? And he said, just do it, create your own vehicle. And, that's what it's about. And that's what's going to set you apart from everybody today, because anybody with a phone can become an influencer or famous, internet famous or TikTok famous, and kind of maybe even cross over to mainstream into TV and film and stuff. But you're waiting around for you don't have the power if you're waiting around for other people to say, here, come and audition for this, and maybe you have a part. You're creating your own stuff and putting it out there. That's what to do. Now, I wish I would have done that years ago. you know I do my husband's channel. Oh, that's something I can pitch. It's called Squirrel Monkey Calm on YouTube, and I do the voices for his retro videos, Wonders of the World Wide Web, and some of the other things, other videos he has on there. And he's got about 60 something videos and 20 plus million views and over 100 something thousand followers and stuff. So, it's kind of a channel. So, check it out. It's got some funny stuff about like if Facebook had been invented in the 90s. And so, you hear the dial up, you mail in a photo of yourself to Facebook, and within 30 days, your picture is posted online, that kind of thing. So, like, how long it would have taken had everything been back then, with technology the way it was and stuff. So it's just kind of a funny look on that. And he's just everything. He loves all retro stuff. There's a YouTuber called Weird Paul. Do you know Weird Paul?
No, I
He's
don't.
getting pretty big. He is the original influencer and YouTuber. He has been documenting his life nearly on a daily basis, filming stuff and holding on to things and collecting things since he was like a child. And he has all of it in lo-fi that he's put up, on YouTube. And now he has a huge following on TikTok and stuff, but he's also a musician. And he'll just sit there and talk about all the finds. This was from 1979, blah, 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 and he's got a great channel, but he's all things retro. And Yo's kind of in that world too. He loves retro stuff. And I was like, oh, that's why you like me, because I'm 5 years older than you. So I'm retro. So, anyways, yeah, if you want to check out Squirrel Monkey Calm,
Now, is it the
please
same
do.
squirrel? Is it the same squirrel that Milton said was out the window and they're married and this and that? Is it that
You know,
squirrel?
every, yes, it is. We have paid him to come in and be our moniker. So, yeah, you are all things office space, aren't you? So people
I
ask me stuff
know
about it
that
all the
will
time, and
be.
I've forgotten. And I'm like, what? I don't even remember that. So,
Yep.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, you're always great. Thank you so much for asking me to do this, and you're the best. I will always, talk to you.
Well, you know what? I hope that I hope that they could do something with Comic Con or something like that, and get some of you folks that are involved with that movie out at the cons,
Yeah.
because I think that would be important. But and I think a lot of fans would go for that. But
Oh, I would love it. I'm
yeah,
gonna dive into that because that's definitely, I did Cameo for a brief time and I was doing pretty good on it. And then I had a friend of mine who was slash used to be my agent and manager at one point and was telling me, Kenna, don't do that, blah, 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 blah. People think you should hear the way people in the industry talk about the people on Cameo. And I was like, wow, there's really big people on Cameo, huge stars on Cameo, but anyway,
wow.
so I took myself off of it and now I'm like, why did I do that? I should just, who cares? I don't, it's just a way to make money and stuff. And it was fun. It's something I could do from my home. I don't have to have a 9 to 5 or
I
so I
I
may
sent
go back on that again.
I sent my brother a cameo from David Herman.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
Yeah, I've sent people cameos before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another way. So you don't make all your income that way. Well, that's fine, but it's just another stream, another thing that the pandemic taught us. You have to have multiple streams of income because
Well,
one could be taken away in a heartbeat.
Well, it's interesting because I used Cameo to promote a suicide and depression awareness thing that I was pitching out to people. And, after the Ice Bucket Challenge was a big hit, one came out after Robin Williams left us for suicide and depression awareness called the Doubtfire Face Challenge. And it involved taking a pie in the face.
Uh-huh.
And I threw that out to some people on Cameo. Now, unfortunately, there were those that didn't do it, and they ended up taking my money.
Uh,
But I did have some takers, and which was really cool. But nonetheless, I think Cameo's definitely got its uses.
yeah. Cameo. I mean, any way to whatever make some money and living for my family, I'm down for that. And I don't see anything wrong with it. I see big, huge names on there. I'm actually like, who's going to want to see Nina from Office Space? You know, that's my thing. I'm like, I don't want to be embarrassed that nobody wants a cameo. So, but when I was on there for a short time, I had 3 or 4, but I was only on it for like a week and a half. So that was pretty decent. And I was like, I could do that. But at the same time, it's like you have to hold money back because then you are charged all the taxes. They don't take taxes out. And they take a big cut of it, Cameo does. I think it's like something like 25%. So
Oh,
if you're
wow.
if you're giving them that, they get that money, and then you're still got to pay taxes at the end of the year. It's kind of like, oh shit, you got to set stuff aside. So it's something that you've got to kind of think about, and is it worth it as far as what you're
Well,
needing or looking for.
there are some um, there are some decent names on there on Cameo. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm actually surprised your manager would say that. Like, even some of the
Well, he was just
wrestling
a
person.
friend at the time, but he had been my manager. But I just kind of was like, okay, he's got the pulse of Hollywood, I guess. But
Yeah,
that was stupid. I should have asked around, and I just kind of was like, oh, like a snap, a knee jump reaction of, oh my God, I got to take my stuff down. If people are going to start, equating that with not a legitimate person, but that's bullshit because there are legitimate people on there, big legitimate people, way
yes,
bigger than me.
absolutely.
So I don't get it. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing that again and just any kind of thing really, to do in my vein of what I love to do and create and help my family out. That's what it's all about, family at the end of the day. These are dreams and goals and who I am, but whether I make money or not at it, it's still who I am. I just have to find a way for income to come in some regards. So,
You know, I was gonna say, I was looking at my phone here and I was like, I had you on here 5 years ago celebrating Office Space, and you know, I had your email and I had your phone number because I did these by at the station at the time
uh-huh.
after the pandemic happened. one of my guests had told me about Zoom, and it's so nice I can do these at my apartment and not have to
Uh-huh.
book a studio. But I didn't even know I still had your number down here. Isn't it interesting you were able to trust me with that?
Ah! Well, you didn't seem like a killer, but you never know. No, I'm pretty trusting, and that's kind of dumb because there was a couple of times when I lived in Los Angeles where people showed up at my door at my apartments, even though, you had to get buzzed in. Somehow walked in when somebody else was walking in, somehow found out where I lived and would come to the door, knock on the door, and ask me to sign about 50, posters of office space. And I was like, "How did you find out where I live?" They're like, "Google." So it's kind
Oh,
of dangerous
wow.
and stuff. And then I had some people show up at my show, and they also tried to get with Helen Slater. She was in the show that night, and she, shut them down real fast because they wouldn't leave. They were kind of odd. They came before the show and like tried to watch us set up and wouldn't leave, and then they showed back up and just stuck around and waited and wanted us to sign like 50 things. And um, you know, she's better at that than I am, because I'll say, okay, like I did, like a dumbass that day at the door, and I stood there and signed everything.
Yeah.
Because,
Guarantee you that's a call center thing calling me there. Um,
oh,
I was
okay.
going to say, did Orlando Jones ever show up at your place trying to sell magazines?
Ah, no. And that's one person I really wanted to meet, and I never saw him at any of the reunions. He didn't shoot when I was there. I never got to meet him, but oh, he was hilarious. That's somebody I forget about too until somebody says his name. And I was like, oh my God, he was so funny in that. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it was great. I mean, there was really, I can't think of, a bad character in that one. The casting, they did a bang up job, as
Hmm.
far as all these character actors that they booked, because we were all character actors except for Jennifer Aniston and Ron Livingston, basically, so it was really
Well, he
fun.
followed that up with Extract, and I really enjoyed that as
Yes,
well.
yeah. And he wanted me to be an audition. I think it was Extract. And is that the one Beth Grant's in? Extract? Because if it's
No,
the
that
one,
was the one of Jason Bateman and Kristen Wiig.
okay, okay, whatever one that Beth Grant is in, that's his movie, they had reached out to my agent at the time. This was years and years and years ago, over 15, maybe over 20 years ago. Reached out to me and said, this was a Friday. They said, would Kenna be interested in reading this part? Blah, blah. And then Monday they were like, ah, she's too young. And then Beth Grant got cast for it, which Beth is probably 15 years, if not more, older than me. So I was okay with that, especially since she's amazing and I love her work.
She's
She's awesome.
hilarious.
Yeah, she's great. But, that was one that, I was like, oh, please just let me read. And I didn't get to read for it because I wasn't, the right age. But the fact that he thought of me was nice. And I hope to work with him again someday. I really do.
Hmm.
I auditioned for one episode of Silicon Valley, didn't get anything. So would love to work with Mike. Um, you know, I'm in Texas, Mike. Come on. You're in Texas. You're in Austin. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's get him on with that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him that you'll wear 37 pieces of flair.
Yeah. I'm gonna wear flair if you will hire me every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's about it. Nothing more interesting really to divulge.
Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Of course, I don't mind.
Just state your name and state, of course, that you were celebrating 25 years of Office Space and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Let's do this. Hi, my name is Kinna McInroe. I was Nina in Office Space, and I'm here with Greg Gilbert, uh, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the movie Office Space. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And thank you, Greg Gilbert, for having me on Python's Paradise for a second time. It's always a joy talking to you, and you're such a great, nice guy. And I just wish you the best.
And of course, you know what to add on to that.
Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking. Just a moment. Just pass.
And Milton still isn't getting any cake.
Yeah. Did you watch The Man in the High Castle? He was the man in the High Castle. I watched that
No,
series and I was like, oh my gosh, Stephen Root.
I
He's
haven't
just a
seen that, but
chameleon.
I've seen him in a lot of stuff where it's like, holy cow, that guy's got range.
Oh, he's amazing. He's an incredible actor. And like you just don't even recognize him. I forgot he was even on news radio with Phil Hartman back in the day, and Kathy Griffin was a TV show called News Radio. Didn't even realize Stephen Root came from that. But now that I know Stephen, I see him everywhere and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that man's amazing."
I mean,
He's a chameleon. He can just fade in. He's kind of like a Gary Oldman, but hasn't had, you know, the opportunities that Gary Goldman has had. As many. A lot, but not as many probably.
yeah, but
So
Gary Oldman doesn't have a red stapler though.
that's right. And I don't see Gary Oldman as in a comedy, really. Maybe has he been in a comedy that's
Well,
really
Gary
super
Oldman
funny?
also hasn't been stuck in a basement
Yeah.
dealing with the rats and the pesticides.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Gary Oldman is like one of those people that I think is just, stellar. I mean, he's up there. I mean, he's like, the Meryl Streeps in the man world. So, no dish to Gary. Would have loved to have him in an Office Space too, but you know, we had who we had. So,
You think they'd make a sequel to Office Space? What wonder what that
yeah,
would
Mike
look
Judge
like.
says never. Mike Judge says never. So,
He
I'm
says
I'm pretty
never.
sure never. He has said that so long. He said that at the 10-year reunion. He said that at the 20-year reunion. He said that to us. He's never gonna, he's like, I don't want to mess that up,
You
you
know
know?
what? A lot of people have been asking the Coen brothers to do a sequel to The Big Lebowski, and everybody's on board, including Jeff Bridges, who would love to do it. And but they won't do it. And you know what? I kind of get it because
Yeah, because
so
then you're
many,
gonna tarnish that. If it's not as good as the first one, which is really hard to be,
yeah,
as good as the first, then you're going to tarnish that legacy of that movie. So I get that. You always want to go out on a high note, not when the ratings are going down. You want to go up when you've been there, but you're like, we've done as best as we can. We're not going to go any higher than this. Go out now. It's kind of like being on stage. You go out on a laugh, you know? Yeah, so that's kind of why I think they did it. And I understand. I would love for him to have one. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Who knows if I'd even be in that one though, but still, Office Space would have been, I think it'd be a huge box office thing now after, the cult classic. I think people would go to the movies to see it. But, he's got such he doesn't need the money nor the
no.
fame. He's already got it. He's got his, his quality. It's quality for him, not quantity. And he's got a standard. So, it's good. He's going to protect Office Space and they're going to protect the Big Lebowski because you can't go over the first one, right? It's kind of like you got E.T. A second E.T.
Yeah,
would have been awful.
yeah.
And all the other things that are classics that are amazing. And then when they start trying to make 12 of them, you're like, please don't.
That is true because Steven Spielberg made Jaws and he made Jurassic Park. None of the sequels measured up.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to have the that whole thing of the first Jurassic Park where you're seeing the dinosaurs, and it's never going to be new like that again, you know?
Nope.
So it's kind of like you got to be first, different, or the best. And, if you've done the best, you're not going to get any better generally. And so, got to
But I
respect it.
but I do think they've got the talent to do it though if they
They
really put their
probably
money
do
in.
if they wanted to, but maybe
Yeah.
they don't have an idea of where they would want to go with that even, you know?
Hmm.
And me, I need the money, so I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do 10 of them. Just slap them out. Let's just, whatever. Let's just factory them. But they don't need that at this point, so they can sit back and go, oh no, I'm over quality over quantity. As poor actors are sitting there going, I just, it's a numbers game for me. It's about the numbers. Eventually, you're going to hit something. just
There
like
you go.
auditions.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today and talk to me, and this has been great. And keep me posted on what you're doing because I'd love to have you back again.
Awesome. And anytime. And you're on my Facebook page, so a lot of
Hmm.
stuff I post there too. And you can always reach out. You've got my phone number, you've got my email. Always feel free to reach out. And I've enjoyed speaking with you twice now, so I'm sure, I enjoyed speaking with you 3 times. So we can do our own trilogy of podcasts.
There we go. There we
Hmm.
go. We can do that. I've got one guest that's been on here 8 times. So
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
there's people that's been back quite a few times. They've always got something they're
Cool.
promoting. So yeah,
Well, and I'll reach out to you if I have something huge or right before the Cohen thing comes out. Maybe I'll reach out to you and we'll talk about it or whatevs.
let's do that. Let's do that. Yes, absolutely.
All
Until
right. It's been a joy and a pleasure, Greg.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have yourself a wonderful day. And yeah, if you see Helen Slater, let's see her dressed up as Supergirl and beating up the fax machine.
Okay, I'll tell her. I'll tell her. All right. I'll talk to you later.
God bless.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.